Right, so that's the pedal pan there, just cleaned it up, give it a bit of paint. And that's the bracket for the switch for the cruise control. So it's come up well, happy with that. Brake pedals were just rusted, so put them in the blaster. That's their first coat. Give them another coat tomorrow. And this is the bit where I think most people would just run away from a project like this. So what I'm doing is, I've done this much in a previous video, is going through the loom. So obviously that's a fuse box, gave that a bit of a clean up. It's quite legible now, it's quite not too bad at all. And then going through the loom till it comes to a junction and taping it or zip tying it at each point so I don't get myself confused, because it's just a bloody mess. And then when I see a problem with the wiring, like here, this is the way they used to crimp wires back in the day, but you can see that's got a bit hot, and probably because that crimp, it's just not doing the job. Interesting that they've got blue, yellow, blue, yellow, blue, yellow, blue, yellow. Why, when you just run two freaking wires, except you want to join them there? Like, why didn't you join it somewhere else early in the track? But anyway, I don't know. They've done it there in the middle of the loom, so I'll probably just solder that, just so it's all nicely joined, and that could just be staying too, not necessarily getting hot. They had weird tape on it. I found 3 different types of tape so far on the loom. It's just the way they did things back in the day. It was 42 years ago, it was a long time ago, so things were a bit different. They didn't have access to the sort of wiring solutions that are available today. So the point of it is just lay it out as best I can. Of course, it won't lay out too well. That's the brake switch and the clutch switch, which I have to redo. And then I'm going to go through all these sorts of junctions. Now, point of case is this one here. This is the main feed wire from the alternator, I think it was, into the car. Now, this is the opposite member of it from the engine loom, and you can just see that has been hot. It just melted. So that was under too much stress, shitty connection. So I'm going to come up with something a lot better than that. And maybe that wire itself we might replace, although it's going to be pretty difficult. It's probably because I added so many things to the car over the years, and it's all coming into the car via that. So now most of the aftermarket systems, even down to the stereo amplifier, we're running through this bank of relays in this box, which will mount. Fairly certain, I'm still thinking about this, but I'm probably going to mount this little box here down where the old steering box went. There. So I've got to see if that will actually work. There's a brake line going through there, so going to have a decent think. It can't go down here, obviously, but I'm hoping I can get it here. No, I can't. Just realised the brake booster's in the way. Might be able to get it all the way over. Don't know. Didn't think about that, did I? Well, I'm not sure now. It can't go there. It will obstruct the steering. No good. Hopefully we can get it there. I'll whack the brake booster in tomorrow and we'll have a bit of a bo peep at that and see if it's going to fit. If not, I might have to rethink that entire idea. But the idea of this is that you run a couple of heavy cables from the battery onto these posts, effectively making a bus, a battery bus via those posts with really heavy gauge wire, and then they feed out into the relays. That's just a loose explanation. But yeah, things like that and things like this I'll improve upon. And I'm just going to make sure there's no broken wire. So I'm just inspecting them all, because they all get twisted up. And I did find in that loom there, I took it out of the car once, there was actually a couple of broken wires. predominantly where the doors open and close, and that's another problem I've got to get to yet. But that's what we're doing at the moment, and it's just a matter at the moment. I'm just rebuilding the loom back to its factory, and then while the loom's out of the car, I'll sit down and draw out the wiring supply, power supply to everything I want to add to the car, and do it whilst out of the car, rather than trying to do it once it's all reinstalled, because it's just a freaking nightmare. So that's where we're at the moment. It looks more difficult than it is. I'm sure most people would find this incredibly daunting. So I see a lot of old cars with just really crappy wiring. It's just a matter of patience. It really is. It's not that difficult. It's just time. Time's your killer. So we will get into this in earnest tomorrow. Yeah, it's time for a beer. Righto, just a quick update on where we're going at the moment. So, like I said, I'm just restoring the loom back to its original glory. Let's not call it that. And I'm just, in my mind, improving the joints. Wherever they've put these little brass ferrules and joined them, I've really heated them up and filled them with solder. And made sure the iron stayed on so it was bubbling all the way through. So just to improve the connection, because it's never a good idea to join the way they did, but it's how they did, and it worked. So I'm just making sure the actual joints themselves have got their best possible chance for survival. What I don't understand is this. This is one of the main earths. Pretty sure this goes onto the right hand console bolt, and 2 wires straight off the bat, joined. So I've got this one, I'm pretty happy with this one. I managed to get this really soaked in. But then it comes along to this, and I've done my best with this, but the soldering iron just won't get the sort of heat I want into it. So I've managed to get solder to join in, so I've got a good flow, I suppose, but I didn't get it to boil through from one end to another like I have with these ones, which I'm confident about. So what I'm doing, like I said, restoring the loom just back to factory, and then when I need to intercept for central locking, for stereo, for cruise control, whatever, they will have their own individual relay supplies in the relay box that I bought over here, which unfortunately looks like we're going to have to position it now on this side of the car. There's no real estate on this side. I just don't think I can do it. I was hoping to get it above the rack and pinion. It's not going to be the case. I don't want to put in a wheel well. It really won't sit in here without looking really ugly. I don't know, maybe it's not that ugly. It'd be nice to have it as close to the battery as possible. But you still want to be able to access the bloody thing and function it, so haven't made my mind up yet. Hello. Hello. How you going, baby? Hop along. Hey. Anyway, don't film me. So that's where we're at. We're just about done. There's only a few left. We'll finish them up. Start rewrapping the this harness with this stuff here, the car builder's tape. I need, actually reminds me, I'll get my phone and buy some more of this. I'm not going to have enough. But this is the go for relooming instead of the old plastic crap that it was done in. So some progress, slow, but we're getting there. Righto, excuse the mess, but finally the main dash loom, I guess you could call this the main loom, it's finally torn down and repairs done as required. I might do a couple more yet, like there where I've intercepted a wire with one of those stupid clampy style ones, but yeah, intersect a wire with a clamp, bad idea. In her naked form. So what I've done, gosh, tape everywhere, is there we go. That looks pretty good. That is how it lays out in the car. So this is how the maintenance manual there's my codes, and there's the wiring diagram. Now, the wiring diagram is a bit of a bugger. It's very old school, but trying to marry that to where that is isn't necessarily how you'd expect things to be, so a bit of patience required. But at the end of the day, I'm pretty happy that the loom's in pretty good nick, and satisfied as to why the power windows really were always struggling in this car. There's two reasons. One, the switches, which I did a film on before, and again, go and see Peter Anderson's website. He did a really good, can't remember what episode, sorry. He did a really good explanation on how to pull these things apart. They do come apart. Mine were filthy and arced inside. I've got two sets. I'm going to clean up both. This is the one I've done. This is the one I'll do. But they were causing really high resistance. The other thing is the earthing is crap. So this is the earth for this loom. This loom feeds via this plug down here to that loom there, which is the power window loom. It's only one of many in the car. And you can see, sort of map it out. So that is your main earth and your only earth. And all the black wires, and look at this one, I mean, look at that. So you look at that join there of earth, well, frankly, it's not as, probably not as much meat in that as there is in the join. In other words, that would have been a hot spot. Certainly, these are the looms that go outside the car to the engine loom, and this is the result of overheating, too much power going to this wire. See, this wire comes into this crimp here. So now I've soldered all the crimps, which will improve conductivity and load through each one of those, but one of the reasons the thing probably struggled over the years is just add on two amplifiers, for example, cruise control, for example, bigger stereo than the one that went in, for example. So I'm going to remove everything from loading this loom that wasn't original, is my point. And then I'll find other areas to pick up accessory and key on with voltage while starting for the Holly. And they'll just be feed wires to relays. So the relays pull 0.2 of an amp, nothing. And then we'll make up the new loom. Little point of case, couple little things, I suppose. This is the brake light switch. This is from the cruise control I think I had in the ZH Fairlane. And this one got a later model cruise control on it. I kept this plug because I was trying to remember how it worked. The actual plug that comes off this, I'll put it on the bench somewhere, is black wires, but these are positive. Right, so the switch, when you put a switch on, and there's one of them there, both black wires go into the switch, but that is what goes there. But I need to modify this. This is how I had it set up. I need to modify this so these all work in series with each other, because that's a clutch switch now, and that's a brake switch. No quick explanation. Never throw anything out. This is the wiring diagram for the AP60, the cruise control. And rather than using their switch, and it uses the same circuit, I made my own bracket up, kept an old brake switch, an old factory one, and I'll be using that, and it'll work fine. And I'll solder, joint everything in like I'm doing everything. So, bit of spilt solder there. So there we are. So, you know, left to right, fuse box obviously. Can't remember. Instruments, headlight switch, steering column, park brake. These three go to your engine bay loom, indicator obviously, brake light switch loom. This one here is your lights on, only in GXLs apparently, according to the schematic I've got, which I have. Can't remember what that one is, I'll work it out. That's a fan switch. This is the illumination and demister switch for the aircon panel. That also goes in that panel, so it's one of the other things in there. This, I'm pretty sure, powers, that's the clock light there. There we go, that's what that is. Clock and clock light. This goes into the glove box light and the light over the glove box. This is the accessory relay. I've rewired some of the wiring to that because I intersected this back in the day, so that's one of them there. And again, it's just 2 earths out of 1 join to that wire, and you know, the wiring just wasn't that great back in the day, but it is what it is, and it did work. So by tinning all this through, you're not relying on a crimp. You know, you're relying on a solid solder joint, which will improve things. Won't be a panacea, but it will improve things. So now I'll get on with wrapping it up. So this stuff here is for engine bay. The more cloth style ones are for inside the car. There's a great video on this. I think I might have talked about it before. Time for a beer and go throw the ball for the dogs. Some of the leftover tape, that's only a fraction, I'll be honest with you. This is a messy, shitty job. But I think it's worthwhile doing to be able to inspect all the wires, inspect all the connections, fix all these ferrules up, because there's a bunch of them, you know, and they're obvious hot spots. So, by the way, that burning look is not burning look, that is from the tape they use. The only one that really got hot is this little bugger here, so I won't be reusing that. I'll come up with something better than this, and same on the opposite loom from the engine bay, that is. So we'll have a think about that. Alright, that's enough. Okay, so I know it's messy, probably hard to see on the film, but that's what it comes up like, wrapped with this Car Builders, is the interior tape, Car Builders tape. I'm really happy with this stuff. Really, really easy to use. Certainly gets everything nice and tight, and it has a real soft feel about it, which on their promo talks about NVH. So it's softer in the car, so therefore doesn't create cabin noises, or reduces cabin noise to some extent, which is something we are trying to do with the old XC, which is why we're insulating it. But yeah, so and just to note, so we've done from the fuse box, that's steering column, and out to the firewall. Most of the loom here, a couple of little odds and ends still to do. Door switch, can't remember where that one is now, I'll come to it. And over to the aircon connection point and power window connection point in here. That's one roll. So that's one roll to do what you can see there. So I've just ordered another 4 rolls online, $5 a roll. I think you can get it at shops. You can probably get it super cheap, I'm not sure. But we live a bit remote, so I just can't duck down the shops here. So I do a lot of Evil Bay shopping. So there you go, 1 roll, that's what you get. So I'd reckon you need half a dozen rolls if you're going to do a whole loom of a car. And then I've got 3 rolls to do the engine bay. I reckon I'll need another 3 of them as well, but I'll get into the power window loom now, finish this one off, and then I've got to do some gluing because I dropped a piece off the dash and smashed it. Yay for me. Pay attention to what you're doing, Blue. Not good. I flipped the dash over on the stands there and forgot that wasn't glued in, but we've got all the pieces. Again, it's in an area that can't be seen, so I'll just epoxy that back together, and hopefully no one's the wiser. Anyway, all right, that's where we're up to. Cool. Okay, simple answer is no. These 6-prong rear power window switches, left and right, doesn't matter, passenger, rear, are not repairable. NX. They are a sealed unit. You're not going to get it back together when you pull the bars apart. It's just how it went. You've got to try these things. At a pinch, you probably could drill carefully in the end here and inject the deoxit into it. I've seen it do miracles before. It might give you a good enough connection, but you can see just how bad it was. It all cleaned up well, but I can't get the bloody thing back together, so kiss that goodbye. I'll just spray in here. So that'll break that down over time. I get a little Dremel and tiny little grind out and clean out those connectors as well. Bugger. Alright, I think Rare Spares might sell 6-prong ones. I'm pretty sure I saw some in the shop last time I was there, so hopefully I can get Rare Spares ones. And if that's the case, I'm going to get 2. I'm not going to muck around with it. That's it. You can't repair those ones. You can repair the front ones. I don't know where I filmed last time. Sorry for sounding a bit down. I'm just a bit frustrated today. Carbills tape, love it. Really good product. Rate that. So that's the dash loom. Basically in position. Got to be secured down yet, but I'm not going to do that till I know I don't need to intercept anything else. Driver's side power window loom. I'm going to play with the passenger side today. This is just one of the light switch looms, 4-note on an XC. They're identical, so you can't mix them up. Good. Little trick, rear power window, back to the nemesis of these bloody switches. There's a hidden screw on the rear ones. You have to lift your little panel off. You probably will bend it. You can just panel bend it back together and clean it up later. And then underneath you'll find a little screw. I thought these lugs here, you'd bend them out of the way and get that out looking inside here. No, that is not the case. All it did was break more plastic that was already bloody well broken. So there's a hidden screw underneath your little panel on your switches in the rear. You can't see it, so you now know if you're watching this. Different for the driver's passenger door, it's just a baby version of the driver's version, but the rear doors are not. They're this setup, and you can see just how filthy that thing is. It's foul. So I'm gonna pop this switch out, he says knowingly. I'm hoping, like the other ones, I can get it apart. Now I assume that, grab a screwdriver blue, that there'll be a seam in here. I think there is, and that looked really hard to see, but there is actually a seam there, and I'll probably be able to pop these open. I'll film later. Now, speaking of XCs, there's another problem with the RRS system. I'll nut it down just quickly. When you set the steering up on these things, the slider there should be in the dead center. You can see that this one is not. Now the reason is, in basic terms, I've just sent an interesting letter to RRS for the second time. Note where the left hand idler arm, or turret end arm, whatever you want to call it, turret end arm, is bolted. Note where the right hand is. They're about an inch away from each other. Consequently, I can't get in a wheel alignment. If you've got this one, the ram centered, this one adjusted to around about, straight position, just eyeball it. This one over here, with the turret end wound all the way down to the stop, the wheel is still better than an inch at the front, towing in. It can't be done. And I've had a look at their own books, and either mine's a dud, or we've just got a bloody problem. But mine's clearly not set up right, and I'm pretty annoyed because it's going to have to come apart again. If I can just pinpoint it here and then, yes, here we are here. If you have a look at this RRS out of a car like not installed, you'll see there's another hole here for the right turret end versus the left, and you can change where it bolts on as depicted in this picture here. You probably can't see it because it's tiny, however it is clear that the right hand one is far more inboard than mine, and I just simply can't get an adjustment. And in fact, just to set it up like that, skew if, because I've got too much spread, because the right hand one is not in its correct position for this car, unless they've got different length arms. I haven't measured them yet. Either way, this thing's a no-go. It's got to come back out. Very happy Jan. I'll wait for their reply. Anyway, in the meantime, we'll continue with the wiring. Righto, it might look messy, but we're getting a bit of progress here. So, for example, this is the, I'll separate it, the right hand, left hand rear door loom, and you can see the blue and green ones there. Well, I've now integrated them into the loom all the way through and out to the other end. So that's the door end. So that's one up to the power window. That's the actual motor, and then this onto the actuator, which sits at the rear of the door, I think. I better double check that. The front door's like that. I may have buggered that up. Oops. Yeah, I might have buggered that up. I think it goes here. I have to redo that one. Good one, idiot. Does it go there? I thought it went in the rear. Oh, the front one does. I've got the front actuator installed. But anyway, really happy with this tape. It's really good stuff. So it might look a bit messy, but this is just some of the wiring for the central locking. So I'm installing the central locking in advance. So this is the main controller for the actuators, and this here is the remote kit. It's going to have to go on there. So only problem I've got with this, if this fails on me, I'm buggered, because I'd have to take the dash out to get to it again. This controller here with the relays, it'll work, but this one here for the remote, I don't think will work. Gotta say, again with instructions, this is the blue wire setup. Pretty bloody vague. Frankly, pretty ordinary. Badly written. But you're just gonna have to, it takes a bit of time to work it out. I have worked it out. I know where the diodes have got to go, or the diode, only connecting one, I believe. But really, really vague. Really light on. Particularly with the actual mechanical side of it, virtually nothing. There's a picture, work it out. Look, it's not that hard, but if you haven't done one before, and I've done a few, I know what I'm doing. Just seeing this, and that's another thing I decided to quickly film. These old XC looms, you don't use prongs to remove plugs out of a plug, if you will, like a wire out of a plug. This slides down. It'll slide all the way down. You can see it's coming in there, and it has a little ratchet. So you use a little screwdriver to push the little tab, and then you can remove the locking device. I'll just put that down, film that way. Every time, never works when you're trying to bloody film. Seriously? Okay, there it is. Comes out. With that out, don't lose that. I want to get this yellow wire out. It's probably going to make a liar of me as well. I'm going to have to refilm this. I need to get this yellow, there it is, yellow wires out. Now, what's key here is you're not going to get these again. I don't know if you can see that, but you certainly are not going to get these sorts of pins again. So you can see this wire, if I film real careful, has clearly got a bit hot here, and that's what I'm talking about. That crimp there, it's not, there you go, and that's why. That crimp hasn't crimped down properly on the wire, so I don't have a good connection. So whenever I find a bad one, what I'm doing is actually soldering it. So that clearly has got hot. I'll cut it here and strip it back and have a look at how the wire is, and then I'll solder the bloody thing together. I've got a set of crimpers designed for these naked type crimps. I'll re-crimp that, and again, because it's been a bit of a crappy connection, I'll solder that up as well. Because I don't get the option, if you want to use your old plugs, you know, you won't be able to find these. These just, I don't make them anymore, I'm sure of it. So, and good luck, that's why you get whole new wiring looms for cars. I don't want to have to go through that. We've come a long way with the wiring, so I don't want to rewire the car. I want to use as much of the original plug and play as I possibly can. But you can clearly see that's metal in there, it's exposed, that's no good. I think that's a positive wire. I don't know, I'd have to look at the colour code and work it out. I don't know. Where's the power window wire? See, it hasn't got the colours on it. You got the numbers, and you got to work out what. So you go to 333, for example. 333 is yellow red. So what that one is yet, I don't know. So it's a backward way of finding what a particular wire is. Long the short of it, this is the sort of detail work that I'm doing, just to try and make this thing operate a lot better, like it should have when it was new. I think I've added an earth here before, I've noticed. I will be adding earths to the loom. So you just got one earth point, like I've said before. So I'm going to run a heavy gauge earth wire and connect it about halfway through this loom on the dash. So I just need to find a point, maybe around about here, but probably not. I'm not sure yet. Somewhere around the air con, and improve the earth situation, because it all just comes back to that. It's pretty bloody ordinary, really. And this is why I think a lot of these old cars had problems. You can see I've soldered that one in as well, just to improve the connection, so you get absolutely maximum contact area onto the terminal. And that'll be an improvement itself, but I'm going to improve it further by adding more earths, and we'll use the opposite point over here. So it'll just help it out. What's the other thing I was going to do? I can't remember. So what I'm doing is setting this up, again central locking, and I'll probably pre-install the stereo so I know what it looks like in this the dash assembly before we go ahead. In fact, I might even leave it in there, because you've only got to get to this bolt here on the frame of the car. So I'm pretty certain I can install all that, see what it looks like, plan the wiring going back to the amplifier before we proceed. And it's all about planning. Ditto, rethink the cruise control loom, which is, God, I had it a second ago, now I can't find it. It's always a bloody way. Oh Lord. Yep, when you're filming, you won't find anything. That's how it goes. Can't find it now, doesn't matter. But same, all the systems, I want to plan the wiring and get it done before we start putting the car together, not the other way around. It's tedious, it really is a pain in the butt, but it'll bite you on the bum, I'm sure, if you don't do it this way. I reckon anyway. Cheers.